What's up, fam? It's Celebrity Traitors episode 2. We pick up where we left off in the last episode, man, with the Traitors, Jonathan Ross, Cat Burns, and Alan Carr having executed their first hit. We're gonna break it all down, react to it, unpack it. Appreciate you being here with me. Let's get it!
Welcome to Celebrity Traitors. A lot of recaps, this one is the greatest. Long time coming, now the wait is over. Call off the search, I've been putting in the work with Claudia. Yo, I got it out of the mud, now I'm digging in the dirt. It's a Charlotte church, got the word on my shoulders, my back hurts. So I kick back with Cat Burns. I've been going hard with Alan Carr. It's heating up, I'm with Celia, with Claire Bowden, we eat it up. We take it back and we speed it up. Long time coming, now the wait is over. Joe Marler, David Olasoga, Joe Wilkinson, yeah, he feels us in, yeah. I'm doing the most with Jonathan Ross. I speak my truth, yeah, I'm not afraid. Kate Garraway, got Paloma Faith, come join the clique. We got Nico, Nick, Muhammad is bumping, got Lucy Bowman, Mark Bona. It's a vibe on God, got Ruth God, got Stephen Fry, come enjoy the ride. Got Tamika Empson and Tom Daly, we going crazy, Celebrity Traitors.
Alright, so in the last episode, the Traitors were told to find a poisoned flower hidden somewhere in the castle, rub the pollen on their hands, and touch the face of the person they want to take out. The flower was next to the bar. Jonathan Ross helped clear the bar, took everybody outside, and Alan grips up the flower. So now he's ready to take someone out. The question is, who is it gonna be? Alan's like, does anybody fancy a cup of tea? Paloma Faith is like, yo, I'll have a cup of tea. They're both walking into the kitchen. He's like, I don't trust any of those people. And Paloma's like, me neither. They're cracking up. She's holding his shoulder. She goes, I definitely trust you though. And I'm like, no, Paloma. He's a traitor, babe. He's a traitor. You shouldn't trust him. But of course they're homies in real life, outside the show, so I can see why she wouldn't suspect him. Like, that's her boy, They're in the kitchen. Ruth Carr joins them. She's doing up some desserts for everybody. She picks up the tray. She's like, I'm gonna hand out the desserts. And she's standing right in front of Alan. She's holding the tray so Alan could easily go, hey, you got something on your face, and pretend to flick it off. Boom! Peace out, Ruth Carr. Or he could take out Paloma Faith. They're super close and cuddly anyway, so he could just boop her on the nose and she wouldn't question it. Yeah. We see everybody by the fire pit, chilling. Alan comes out, sits next to Jonathan Ross, gives him a little nod, a little wink, like, yeah, man, it's all done. Everyone's having a good time, roasting up marshmallows. They go back inside. It's about that time, baby. Everyone's got to go back to their private lodgings. The Traitors are all cloaked up. Lanterns on deck. They are moving like shadows through the night. They stand in the circle, remove their hoodies. Alan's like, oh man, I'm such a bad person. Jonathan Ross is like, nah, you're not a bad person. You're a good traitor. Jonathan and Kat want to know exactly what we want to know. Like, who was it? Who did you go for? We flash back to the moment in the kitchen. Ruth picks up the tray, like, I'm gonna go hand out these desserts. Paloma's like, dope, we're right behind you. She's like, hey, they look beautiful. Yo, they look French. You know what I'm saying? Alan makes his move. He's like, oh, you've got a hair on your face. And he takes his thumb and pretends to remove the hair from Paloma Faith's face. She's like, oh, thank you. Oh man, not Paloma. I'm not just saying this. Paloma was low-key my fave. I love her energy. She's so bubbly and positive, and I love her outfits, man. She was so fun to watch. Jonathan and Kat agree. They're like, oh no, you know what I'm saying? But yo, it had to be done. And Alan's like, I had to take the opportunity, man. I feel awful, but it had to be done. He's like, yo, it broke my heart. Jonathan Ross is a real one. He's like, yo, you need to toughen up. We are traitors. This is what we do. You know what I'm saying? None of this broken heart nonsense. You need to start enjoying this. We need to start enjoying this, guys. They're like, yeah, you're right. All right, so it's the next morning. The cars start pulling up one by one. Nico is the first one in, followed by Claire Bowden, Cat Burns, Kate Garraway, and Joe Wilkinson. Kate's like, Joe and I have shields, so we were protected. But you guys must feel amazing that you didn't get popped last night. Cat Burns, who we know is a traitor, is like, gosh, yeah, I am so relieved. They're sitting around the table, breakfast on deck. Next one through the door is our girl Charlotte Church, followed by Ruth Card. Everyone's clapping like, hey! Tom Daly rocks in next, then Alan Carr and Jonathan Ross. Hey, look at that. 2 traitors back to back. Jonathan is sitting next to Ruth and he's like, yo, where's your head at? Tell me what you're thinking. Let's both say who we're thinking at once. 1, 2, 3. He's like, Nico. She's like, Kate. She's like, I just feel like Kate is overreacting. It's like she's overcompensating because she's keeping a secret. Jonathan's like, I think it's Nico, you know, because I was watching him and he started acting different after Claudia chose the traitors. Jonathan tells Ruth like, yo, even Steven thinks it's Nico, which is smart. It's a smart move because Stephen Fry's whole thing is being intelligent. You know what I'm saying? So if I was in a show and Stephen Fry told me who he suspected, I'd probably be like, you know what? He's probably right. Claire Bowden whispers to Kat like, yo, I think Kate might be a traitor, bro. More people pour in. We got Tamika Empson, followed by Mark Boner, David Olusoga, Paloma Faith, who we of course know is a dead woman walking at this point, but they don't know that. So they're clapping like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Paloma's safe. And then Joe Marler walks in, shuts the door. Paloma's like, I'm so relieved. I was shook. And she pretends to throw up in one of the cups or whatever. See, man, when Paloma leaves the show, we're not going to get this kind of random physical humor. Like, we're not going to get this. It's going to be boring. She's got to be neurodivergent, bro. I bet you she's got like ADHD or something. I bet you. She's got her. One sec. Let me check. See, I typed in Paloma Faith ADHD into Google and it's come up. Paloma Faith was diagnosed with ADHD a year ago. A diagnosis, she says, has been very helpful in understanding long-standing challenges. She has spoken openly about this late in life diagnosis, describing the experience as cathartic and a way to stop masking. Faith has also used her platform to advocate for those with ADHD and neurodiversity. Told you, man. She's got that ADHD energy, man. Cat Burns is like, yo, Paloma, what's up, girl? It's so great to see you. And she looks genuinely happy to see her. I mean, yo, look at her face. Look at her face. I don't think she's acting. I don't think she's that good of an actress. Heck, she's not even an actress. She's a singer. I think she genuinely gets along with Paloma. I mean, who wouldn't? You know what I'm saying? And like, look, she's a younger musician. She must have come up listening to Paloma Faith joint. So I think she likes her. And there's a bit of guilt there. Because look, yes, I know it's just a game, but the betrayal is real. The backstabbing is real. And sending someone home who wants to stay in the competition is deep, especially if it's someone you like or you grew up listening to. So now everyone is like, we only have 4 more people missing: Stephen Fry, Celia Emery, Nick Mohammed, and Lucy Bowman. Celia has a shield, so she's safe from the first elimination. So Stephen, Celia, Nick, one of them is outie. That's what everyone's thinking, because them's the rules of the game. They were told someone was gonna get taken out the previous night. But of course, what they don't know is Paloma Faith has already been marked. It just wasn't instant. When the final 4 arrive, everyone's a little baffled, like, yo, what's going on? We're all here. Jonathan Ross is like, what? He stood up, he's pretending to look around the room, counting as if he doesn't know what's going on. I love it. Super believable, man. Jonathan Ross is eating. Everyone's confused, man. Claudia rocks up, she's like, good morning, everybody. So it appears no one got taken out, but appearances can be deceptive. Bars! She goes, the traitors did strike last night in plain sight. So the eliminated player is in this room right now. And by the end of today's mission, they'll be snuffed out. She's like, finish your breakfast, put on your funeral attires, and meet me outside. Yo, this is juicy! Because apart from us and the Traitors, no one knows who's been popped. They're sitting there thinking, yo, it could be me. You know what I'm saying? They're sitting there shooketh. Like, yo, it could be me. Charlotte Church is like, we need to think about something that someone did that seemed unusual. Alan Carr makes a smart play. He goes, y'all remember Ruth was handing out those marshmallow desserts. That was suspicious. But Lucy squashes that. She's like, nah, that was actually my idea. But hey, that could just be a traitor standing up for a traitor. You know what I'm saying? I would be so paranoid if I was on this show, man. Steven's like, no, that doesn't make sense because you wouldn't be able to control who would get which marshmallow. Everyone was just randomly picking from the tray. Paloma's like, I don't think they got me because I had so very few interactions yesterday. Oh, Paloma. Sweet Paloma. She's like, oh, but wait a minute. Nico hugged me goodbye. Steven's like, oh no, that's my number one suspect. Paloma's like, yeah, he came up to me and went, oh, can I hug you? Poor Nico, man. When Paloma dips, everybody's gonna be like, oh, she said he hugged her. It's gotta be Nico. My whole thing is, why does she remember Nico specifically hugging her? Like, what did he do to make that hug so memorable? Because I'm a hugger, bro. You know what I'm saying? Anyone that knows me, homies, family, friends, parents, people I collab with, you know what I'm saying? Strangers, they've been hugged. That's my high. That's my goodbye. If I was on the show, everybody's getting hugged. Everybody. And after a few drinks, bro, it would be hug central up in our place. What did Nico do to make her go, ah, that was strange that he hugged me? Was he not hugging everybody else? Was he just like saying goodbye to everybody? Like, yo, peace out, Steven. Hey, good night, Joe. Stay safe, Charlotte Church. Hey, peace out, Jonathan Ross. One love, Tamika. Peace. Hold it down. All right, bye, man. And then he got to Paloma and was like, Paloma, can I get a hug? Listen, man, it's a wild theory, but it could be that. Because no one else in the room goes, nah, that's not deep. You know what I'm saying? He hugged me like 4 times yesterday. He also hugged me. Nah, no one has Nico's back. So the hug thing is a little bit specific to Paloma. But Paloma herself low-key defends Nico. She's like, I don't know if he'd get picked as a traitor because that would just be too obvious, no? Because he's a YouTuber. He's made prank videos in the past. Aight. Boom. So now everybody's dressed in black. Gloomy. They rock out the castle one by one. Claudia's waiting for them, looking dripped out. She's got the dark veil going on. She's sitting on a black horse in front of 3 black coffins on a horse carriage thingy. It's very cinematic. The Scottish weather adds to the dramatic energy, man. It's raining. Claudia's being super poetic with it, talking about, dearly beloved players, we are gathered here to mourn the passing of our first faithful. A high-profile death requires a high-profile funeral. Woo! Okay. Yo, let's just take a moment to give Claudia Winkleman her flowers, man. I've seen her in a few things where she was, the bubbly presenter type, and I've always liked her. But in this, bro, she really sells it. She's locked in, committed to the part. She's got me invested, you know what I'm saying? She's like, for one of you, death is incredibly close. Ooh. We get these dope visuals of everybody walking behind the horses and the coffins. It's raining. They've got their umbrellas out. Mark looks fire in his Scottish kilt. Bro, I swear in my next life, I want to come back as a Scottish man. Jonathan Ross low-key looks like a traitor, bro. It's the way he's holding the umbrella. It's the sunglasses. It's low-key giving villain energy. And Stephen Fry just looks like a widower, you know what I'm saying? Like a widower in a movie. Like, you know, he's lost his partner and he's trying to put on a brave face for the kids. Like, that's how he looks. They stop and pick up the coffins and walk slowly behind Claudia. They're walking uphill, and as they're walking, they hear this creepy, ominous singing. We see this choir standing on the hill, blacked up, veils, gloomy, intense vocalizing. They make it to the top by the tombstones and place the coffins down. Claudia's like, yo, your mission today is to correctly guess who's been taken out by the traitors. You will get given a set of clues, and the clues will whittle down the potential victims to 3. One will be the main person who's been snuffed out, and the other 2 were chosen by the traitors. Bear in mind though, the traitors could have also chosen to put themselves in the coffins. Celia, Kate, Joe Marler, Jonathan Ross, Joe Wilkinson have shields, so they're safe. Charlotte Church would have also been safe, but she gave up her shield in last episode's challenge, remember? So, the gang has to solve clues to identify who belongs in them 3 coffins. For each player they get correct, Claudia will throw in an extra £3,000 into the prize pot. But each time they ask for an extra clue, some cash will be deducted from the prize. So they gotta try and nail it with the quickness. Alright, clue number 1. Claudia's like, the choir is gonna give you the first clue. The choir starts singing, man. They go, you chase your goals with all your might until you kick the bucket out of sight. Paloma's like, have any of the actors here played characters who died? Ruth Card's like, yeah, several times. Which is hilarious, because Ruth's famous for starring in horror projects with a lot of death. So yeah, she do be kicking the bucket a lot. Everyone's kind of trying to work it out, but they're like, yo, it's not enough to go on. It's not enough, you know what I'm saying? We're just running around like headless chickens. They're like, we need another clue. Claudia's like, I bet I'm gonna give you another clue, but that means you've lost £500. The second clue gets brought out, and it's a ballot box. Tom Daly's like, yo, it's Nico. It's gotta be Nico, right? Because Nico run for London mayor. Even Nico's like, yo, it's probably me. Everybody agrees. They're like, yup, it's Nico, it's Nico. So he gets in the coffin, he lies down. Claudia's like, Nico, that coffin does indeed belong to you. Everyone's like, yeah, let's go. £2,500 added into the pot. Banked. Let's get it. We get a flashback to see the traitor's reasoning. Jonathan Ross is like, yo, if we put Nico in the coffin, it might be enough for people to think he's a traitor who's trying to do up a double bluff. Nico's obviously bummed out because he doesn't know if he's one of the extras or he's actually the one who got popped last night. Aye, on to the next coffin. The choir hits him with one of these. You fill the airwaves with laughter and jest. Completed your task, now it's time to rest. Mark's like, laughter and jest. Paloma's like, Alan's got a radio show, you know, airwaves. Lucy's like, yo, it might be me, guys. I have a podcast. Lucy's like, yeah, it might be me. I have a podcast. And I've done Taskmaster. Makes sense. Filled the airwaves with laughter. Completed your task. Taskmaster. She's onto something. Nick's like, I was on Radio 4. I had a Radio 4 series. And I've also done Taskmaster. They're like, so it's between these two. Let's do up a second clue. Yeah, let's do it. The second clue arrives. It's a model rocket ship thingy. Nick's immediately like, it's me, man. The Apollo 11 space rocket. It's me. Everyone's like, oh, yeah, it's Nick. Yeah, 100% Nick. I'm not gonna lie to you, man. I'm a big fan of Ted Lasso, but I didn't see any episodes with Nick's character getting involved with the Apollo 11 space rocket. I've seen a few episodes of the show that is in with Ross from Friends, and so far, nothing in there has anything to do with space or space rockets. And I watched his recent movie with Orlando Bloom and Bryce Dallas Howard. Banging joint, by the way, super funny. It's called Deep Cover. Y'all sleeping on it. You need to see it. But there was no rockets in that either. I had to look it up because I was curious. Literally searched up Nick Mohammed Apollo 11. And the closest thing you get is apparently he had a mockumentary series in 2009 called Apollo 21. But I'm sorry, everyone's just low-key being sheep here. Because they're going, of course it's Nick. Like they're all familiar with this thing that he did in 2009, over a decade ago, before Ted Lasso and that. They locked that in way too quick. Like it's not a time challenge, gang. Ask around. Does anybody else have any connection with rocket ships and whatnot? Ask around, bro. They're just like, nah, it's Nick. Too late, man. Nick's already getting into the coffin. He's lying down. Claudia's like, if you got this one right, you get another 2,500 pounds. Now, of course, hindsight is 2020, but I feel like they really rushed this one. It's like Nick wanted to be the guy in the coffin. Claudia's like, before I tell you if you got this one right, I will bring out the third clue. The third clue is like flowers, right? Like with a little boat in the middle. So the boat is the clue. Lucy's like, wait a minute, that's the hull of the boat. And that's where I'm from. But she's like, but what about the spaceship? I've got nothing to do with the spaceship. And then she's like, no, wait, I had a show called Spaceman. Everybody's annoyed. They're like, oh, no, Lucy, man, come on. And she's like, yeah, and I've played at the Apollo Theatre. Mark's annoyed. His Scottish accent comes out. He's like, Disney Mata, it's too late. Everybody's annoyed at Lucy. But yo, maybe you guys should be annoyed at yourselves. Maybe you should take some accountability and be annoyed at yourselves because y'all picked Nick way too quick. Maybe you should have given it a minute. Maybe you should have asked around. Maybe you should have gone, hey, Lucy, so you said you're the podcast with the airwaves and you're on Taskmaster, so the first clue could have been referring to you. Is there anything about the space rocket that could have, is there anything about that could relate to you? The Apollo 11, anything? Give her a minute, you know what I'm saying? They just rushed on and, picked Nick. So that's on y'all. Lucy, babe, you're fine, okay? Anyway, Lucy gets into the coffin. Next up, coffin 3. The choir goes, you found your voice amidst the big smoke. Your story is done, but your words still spoke. The second clue for the final coffin is a tie, right? Black and white stripes. They're like, Paloma, is it you? Because that tie is from that St. Trinian's movie. And Paloma's like, yeah, but it wasn't just me in that movie. Celia and Steven were also in that movie. They're like, okay, it's black and white, right? Those are the colors of Newcastle United. It's something to do with Newcastle. And Davey's like, that would be me then, because I'm from Newcastle. Hey, Davey, what's up, man? We're just talking about you, bro. They're like, we need a third clue, man. Claudia's like, aye, but that's another 500 gone. The third clue comes out. It's hearts with band-aids on them. Because only love can hurt like this. Tom Daly's like, Paloma, that's you. Paloma, sweet, sweet Paloma. She's in denial. She's like, yeah, but no, because the other clues, they've got nothing to do with me. Girl, the tie, the clue about the words, lyrics, the heart with the band-aids on, just get in the coffin, Paloma. Don't make this more heartbreaking than it has to be. Just get in the coffin, Paloma. She's like, I don't know, I don't understand. People are saying the clues back to her, the big smoke, you're from London, St. Trinian's, your song. She's like, okay, I think it's me. They're like, yo, it's gotta be Paloma. Paloma gets into the coffin. Claudia's like, the third coffin does indeed belong to you, Paloma Faith. So in total, they have 4,500 pounds added to the pot. Let's go. Claudia's like, I want y'all to guess which one of these three the traitors popped last night. And if you get it right, I'ma add an extra 4,000 pounds to the prize fund. Once you've decided, you must place the RIP wreath at the coffin of that person. Ruth's like, we have no way of knowing, so the best way to do it is to vote, and whoever gets the most votes, we go with them. Okay, hands up for Paloma. Charlotte Church puts her hand up. She's like, I think it's Paloma. Okay, hands up for Lucy. And majority of them go for Lucy. I don't know why. Hands up for Nico. I think we only got like Alan Carr, put his hand up. So they grab the RIP thing and they place it at Lucy's coffin. Now, of course, we know it's not Lucy. Claudia menacingly walks behind the coffins. The tension is tensioning. She gets to Paloma's coffin and slams it shut. Everybody is shooketh. Shockwaves throughout the celebrities. Tamika's like, no! Mark looks shook to the core. You can see his eyes darting around like he's trying to suss out the other players. Celia and Nick look genuinely sad. Steven's like, oh, Paloma, you were right. I'm guessing he's referring to the whole Nico thing. Lucy and Nico get out of their coffins and join the others. Claudia's like, rest in peace, Paloma. Everybody watches as four men dressed in black suits and top hats lift up the coffin and slowly walk away. Shout out to this show, man, because something like this in the wrong hands could be cringy and over the top, but they've managed to capture real emotion. You can see people's eyes watering up, like genuinely, man, it feels like a funeral. Like I was watching this invested. Like for a second I forgot it's just a game show, and I was like almost like low-key mourning Paloma Faith. I was like, no! Paloma! And to make it worse, we cut to Paloma Faith and she's like, yo, I thought I wasn't going to get emotional, but I'm really sad. Oh man, Paloma, no! Right in the feels. We cut to Celia and she puts it beautifully. She goes, I'm feeling really sad actually. She was such a joy. Our sunshine is gone. Ooh! Bars! Claudia's like, would anyone like to say a few words? Jonathan's like, Alan, you knew her best. Why don't you say something about her? Smart move from Jonathan, because he knows Alan might be feeling, too guilty in this moment. He might be feeling too guilty to put himself forward, but it would look weird and suspicious if he didn't say something because that was his homie. So Alan's like, I loved her. We all loved her. She was so full of life. Jonathan's like, and we will avenge her death. Everybody's like, yeah! So they're on their way back to the castle, and in the cars, they're trying to unpack what went down. Alan's in the car with Kate, Charlotte, and Joe Wilkinson. They're like, yo, we know how close you and Paloma are. Like, how are you feeling? Alan's like, I hate goodbyes at the best of times, and that was an epic goodbye, you know what I'm saying? I feel sad. They're all feeling sorry for Alan, and Alan's thinking, yo, nobody's gonna suspect me. But in the other whip, we've got Claire Bowding, Celia, Nico, and Kat Burns. And Claire has an interesting theory, yo. She's like, if you were a traitor, who's the least likely person to have offed Paloma? Kat's like, well, someone she's close to. Nico's like, oh, you're talking about Alan Carr. She's like, yes, Alan Carr. Big up Claire, bro. Big up Claire. I don't think she can sway the others because she doesn't have a strong argument. Heck, I don't think even she's convinced. She's just trying to, think outside the box, which is dope. It's a start. You know what I'm saying? That's how you're going to win the game. In the other whip, we got Tamika, Tom Daly, Jonathan Ross, and Ruth Codd. Tom's like, I'm thinking Claire and Kate. Tamika's like, swear. Because, bro, I'm thinking Kate as well. Mark's in the car with Joe Marler and David. And he's like, I was watching everybody's reaction and Tamika stood out to me. So they're back at the castle. Nico is chilling with Celia, and he's like, yo, I'm gonna have to fight for my life now, because the traitors are out here trying to plant seeds, and by putting me in the coffin, it might make people think I'm a traitor trying to do up a double bluff. Celia tries to reassure him. She's like, yo, everybody's suspicious of everybody right now, man. It's all good, don't trip. A few of the players are at the table eating, and I think it's Nick who notices that they've already put that cross on Paloma Faith's picture. Kat Burns is walking through the halls. She peeks into a room, sees Charlotte Church, Alan Carr, and Tom Daly. She's like, hey, you got room for one more? They're like, yeah, of course, girl, come in, come in. She goes in, sits next to Charlotte Church. Yo, I hope in between filming, Charlotte and Kat Burns got to networking, because the new Kat Burns joint featuring Charlotte Church would be banging. Hey, ladies, if you do make the record and you need someone to rap like a middle section, hit me up. I got you, all right? I got you. All right, so Kat's like, so how we feeling? Where's everyone at? Charlotte Church asks Kat, like, what's your thoughts on Nico? And Kat's like, personally, I don't think he's a traitor. Now, this is an interesting approach, because Jonathan's master plan is to knock out Nico. Every time he speaks to someone, he's like, yo, Nico, he brings up Nico. It was his idea to put Nico in the coffin. So you would think Alan Carr and Kat would also be like trying to sway people towards Nico. But by not doing that, it makes it seem like she's not aligned with Jonathan Ross. Alan Carr is safe. That was his homie. Jonathan Ross thinks it's Nico. She doesn't agree. To people in the house, it makes it seem like the three of them are just doing their own thing. There's no connection, which is dope. Kat's like, the person I'm suspicious of is Kate. Tom's like, me too, man. He's like, did you see her at the funeral? She was like, oh my gosh, I'm so flabbergasted. He's like, who uses that word in casual conversation? Who says I'm so flabbergasted? The funny thing is, right, I went back and rewatched that moment to see Kate's reaction. And it's the funniest thing, because she does go, I'm so flabbergasted. And look at Tom's face when she says that. Look at Tom's face. Alright, so the gang is back at the round table. They've got to vote someone off and banish him. Kate stands on business with a quickness. She's like, look, I've heard that my name's been getting mentioned, and I just want anyone who's been part of them conversations to tell me why they think I'm a traitor. Everybody's silent for a minute. Then Tom puts his hand up and goes, Kate, it's because you use words like flabbergasted. He doesn't really say that. Kat Burns is the one who puts her hands up. She's like, yeah, I said your name, Kate. And what? Catch me outside, ho. No, she doesn't say that. She goes, when Paloma's thing happened, your reaction seemed a little over the top. And I don't know if that was you, genuinely scared, or you were just like overcompensating, trying to hide something. Kate's like, yo, that's just how I am. I feel things deeply. I'm super dramatic. My reactions are always massively over the top. But genuinely, she says, genuinely, I was flabbergasted. Claire also goes for Kate. Like, yo, when Claudia chose her traitors, we removed the blindfolds. I also felt like your reactions were over the top. And then Ruth goes at her, like, during the challenge, everyone seemed willing to offer up their shields except for you. Yo, it's not looking good for Kate, bro. But then Stephen Fry's like, look, my logic is we need to look at ourselves and think, who's the kind of person who will tell Claudia, oh, I really want to be a traitor? And he's like, don't take this personally, but I think Nico is that kind of person. Now, the funny thing is, Stephen Fry is not wrong. Nico did ask to be a traitor. So in a way, I'm glad that Claudia and the producers of the show didn't make Nico a traitor, because that would have been so obvious, and my man's already fighting for his life at the first banishment. Nico does stand his ground though. He tells him, I'm being set up, I'm telling you. And he's like, if I was a traitor, why would I put myself in the coffin knowing it would put a target on my back? It just doesn't make sense. Charlotte Church is like, well, it could be a double bluff. Jonathan Ross is like, I noticed a change in your behavior after the traitors were chosen, Nico. Nico's getting heated, man. He's like, listen to me. If I was a traitor, I would not put myself in the coffin. Mark's like, Nico might be telling the truth, you know. The person who I think is a traitor, is someone I've been watching and their reactions didn't seem genuine. It's Tamika. Tamika claps back. She's like, nah, bro, I'm not a traitor. And I saw you watching me. You separated yourself from everybody. You were watching us instead of looking at the coffin and what was going on. That's hella sus. Mark's like, yeah, I was, because I wanted to spot the traitor. Claudia's like, all right, the time for discussions is over. Write down the name of the person you think is the traitor. It's super quiet. Everybody's locked in, you know, writing down who they think is the traitor on their pieces of paper. We start off with Ruth. She voted for Kate. Tamika also voted for Kate. Alan went for Nico. Mark voted for Tamika. Nico went for Tom Daly. Alright, so far we got 2 votes for Kate, 1 for Nico, 1 for Tamika, and 1 for Tom. Kate goes for Tamika. Joe Marla went for Nico. Lucy also went for Nico. Kat went for Kate. So we got 3 for Kate, 3 for Nico, 2 for Tamika, and 1 for Tom. Claudia's like, Steven, who do you think is a traitor? Everybody turns around. They're now looking at Steven. All eyes on Steven. They're trying to work out, like, yo, who did he pick? Nico's got his fingers crossed. He's like, yo, I hope the argument that I made was able to sway Steven. Everyone's looking at Steven, man. It's on you, bro. Who did you pick? Steven's about to reveal who he picked, and then the episode ends. Cliffhanger, baby. That was the episode. Thank you so much for watching. Please give the video a like. If you haven't already, please subscribe for more recaps, deep dives, and vibes. I'll be back with the next episode. Until then, you take care of yourself, fam, because I love you.